If you guys are also using the GoPro for mainly IRL streaming, you've probably come into this situation too. Yes, these are all accessories, at least loosely related to GoPro and streaming with it. And almost all of these are useless, at least for me. Why is that? When I'm IRL streaming, I'm usually using the GoPro on this J bracket because I'm mostly driving a bike, so it's mounted on a chesty mount like this. And then when I take a stop with the bike, I want to take the GoPro off the chesty mount and go for a walk, either holding it in my hand or on a selfie stick of some sort, tripod, or on a shoulder strap. So the transition is easy if you have a shoulder strap that specifically supports GoPro, but you can only use that for GoPro, nothing else. For example, I use a lot of Peak Design products, which are like premium quality and also really good for photography, videography, because I can put my camera on the shoulder strap. This is a pretty neat solution for GoPros. Problem is, I have to unscrew the GoPro and screw back on here for it to work. And during a live stream, that's just not happening. Like, you have to swap to a different screen because how's this gonna look on stream, right? And then putting it on this as well, and then mounting it on you, and then checking if everything's all right. But I would say the worst offender, and it's by GoPro themselves, are the selfie sticks. The selfie sticks almost always come in with this on top. Now, again, same thing. You have to unscrew the GoPro and put it on here. And this is a very common use case. Going from anywhere, either your helmet, your chesty mount, your shoulder, to the selfie stick. How some people have solved it is having, for example, Arca-Swiss on every piece of gear that you're using. And that will involve having something like that. Then you can mount this GoPro mount on top. But as you can see, this is pretty clunky. The Arca-Swiss is pretty big as well. This cannot go on everything. On the selfie stick, yes, but on anything that has action written all over it, for example, your chesty mount or your helmet mount, this is just not happening. So unfortunately, we're back to where we started. Of course, people may not have these problems if they're only using it in 1 or 2 use cases, and that's about it. But if you want to stay flexible, there's one way to fix all of this. You're still going to be using most of your native GoPro stuff, but you will also be compatible with basically any system out there. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the GoPro mounting system, and I think it has its small flaws, I still think it's best to stay on it and then build on top of it. And how are we going to do that? Well, here comes the mounting bracket for GoPro that you can mount on anything that you want. So what's the deal here? It takes the usual 1/4 inch, for example, on this quick release plate. You can just mount it on like that. So now you have a GoPro quick release plate that can go on any Arca-Swiss device. For example, something like this. Let's say this is your tripod, all right? So on the bottom side, you can also mount it a little bit to the side on the 1/4 inch. You can also use the 3/8 to mount it directly on the tripod. So that's pretty handy too. So this one is made by Smallrig, and in my opinion, this is the only one that you should ever get because I've gotten some cheap Chinese ones already. Let me show you. This one is plastic. That one is metal. There's a pretty significant difference between these. See what happens to the plastic one? It did have a bracket here. I still have a little piece of it. But we're talking GoPro. This is gonna move. This is gonna have a lot of tension on it And this will happen to every single plastic one that you try to get. Do not get plastic ones. You're risking all of your gear, and it's definitely not worth it. This thing costs maybe like 15 bucks. It is overpriced for a little piece of metal. It's basically the only option. So in case I didn't explain well enough why this thing is so important, I'll try to give you a proper example of how I use it. So when I'm riding a bike, I'm always using this chesty mount. It's the usual GoPro mount. And what I do is I mount it from the bottom side, like that. And then I have a little tripod, let's call it a selfie stick tripod, that I mount this bracket on. So now I can seamlessly go from the J bracket and put it straight onto this. Not only that, but I have the option to move the ball head, so I can do whatever I want with the GoPro, and I can still have it mounted upside down and put it somewhere on the side if I want to. But okay, what about the shoulder strap? Well, that's a little bit different. This is the shoulder strap that I use, the Peak Design Clip V3. And it's probably the best thing that ever existed when it comes to shoulder straps that you can use for basically anything. I usually put my camera on this when I'm going on trips, photos, videos, etc. But you can also use it for GoPro. And they have an extra kit that is consisted of this and a few more things. Obviously, the problem is that you have to screw it in after you put it in like that. So the quick release part is great, but this thing is a problem. There's a way to fix it with the bracket. So this part comes in with the POV kit for using it with the GoPro, and I've never really understood why I would want it, but now it all made sense, because you can put, let's just not use the screw right now, but you can put this right on top of it. There we go. So even this alien system, you can adapt to just your GoPro with this bracket. It's so simple, it's so effective though. But for some reason, GoPro completely neglected this type of product, and now we're using the Smallrig one. So, use it on the shoulder strap. Never been easier. You just slide it in. And now, the big part is putting the GoPro in, come on. Yes. Yeah, this device does look like something from Transformers, I guess. But you do sometimes want a little bit extra length on this anyway. So I don't mind this sticking out a little bit because it is on your shoulder. So it gives you a little bit better wide view on the GoPro if it's a little bit further away, because something might be in the way. Your arm, your shoulder, whatever. So I would say this is pretty good, and it's very sturdy. The only weak link, as you can see right here, is my J bracket, because it's like a 50-cent one, the plastic one. If you used something from GoPro, like the original ones that are metal or a much harder plastic, it just works so much better. It's a very tight lock. But honestly, even with this being this a little bit shaky, it doesn't matter, because GoPro has digital and optical stabilization, or mostly digital. That works really well, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But yeah, very sturdy, and this is what I use if I want to go to the shoulder and just walk around with the GoPro. Of course, this is too complicated for people that don't have to go on a bike or a motorbike in the car, don't want to use a selfie stick. You don't need this stuff. You can just use the bottom one, and that's it. You can just unscrew it from here, put it there, and that's it. But if you want to go for something that is very flexible, you need this bracket, and you won't regret it. It's a great investment. But yeah, Smallrig products in general, they're so good, guys. They're so good. I have maybe like 5 or 6 of them, different mounting options for the camera, for GoPro, etc. And they're just brilliant. So get this thing if you're serious about IRL streaming. You can find the link in the description below. And that's it. See you in the next one.